My dying sister needs a kidney, and I'm the only match. I told my parents no because she tormented me for 30 years. Now the whole town is hunting me. Let me tell you, I am shaking just typing this out. I feel like I'm living in a surreal nightmare where up is down, black is white, and apparently my body is public property. We are starting right in the middle of the chaos, honey, because my phone hasn't stopped buzzing for 48 hours. The last text I got from my mother literally said, I didn't know I raised a murderer, because I won't slice myself open for the woman who made my life a living hell since I was in diapers. Let me back up and tell you how we got to this point of absolute insanity. So, I'm a 32-year-old woman. My older sister, let's call her Vanessa, is 35. A few months ago, Vanessa was diagnosed with a severe aggressive kidney disease. It's bad. Her doctors laid it out plain and simple. Without a transplant in the near future, she is looking at a lifetime of grueling dialysis and a significantly shortened life expectancy. When the news dropped, our entire family was devastated. And look, I'm not a robot. I felt a pang of sympathy. Nobody deserves that kind of sickness. But here is where it gets sticky. I have a very, let's say, complicated relationship with Vanessa. And by complicated, I mean toxic. We weren't close growing up. She was the golden child, the star, and I was the other one. As adults, we've mostly been civil at family events, the tight lipped smile, the polite nod, but we do not have a personal relationship. Why? Because Vanessa is chronically selfish and manipulative. This isn't just sibling rivalry, this is a pattern of financial and emotional abuse. 5 years ago, she borrowed $10,000 from me, my entire savings at the time, for a can't miss business opportunity. Spoiler alert, the business was a pyramid scheme, it failed, and she never paid me back. When I asked for the money, she laughed in my face and joked, Consider it your tuition for the School of Hard Knocks, little sis. She missed my wedding, my literal wedding day, to go on a last minute vacation to Cabo with a boyfriend she broke up with 2 weeks later. She has spent her entire life making snide, undermining comments about my career, my husband, my weight, my house, you name it. So, when her diagnosis was announced, the family went into crisis mode. Immediately, they launched a Save Vanessa campaign. I'm talking flyers in the local coffee shops, social media blasts, Facebook groups. Everyone was talking about how we need to step up. My mother was weeping at Sunday dinner, clutching a napkin, sobbing, One of us in this family must be a match. We have to save her. It's our duty. A few weeks ago, in the family group chat, which gives me anxiety just looking at it, the topic of living donors came up. My cousin, bless his heart, volunteered to get tested immediately. My mom said she would, but the doctors are worried her age is a factor. Then, silence. Until my aunt tags me directly. She wrote, and of course, my name, you'll get tested too. Sisters are the most likely matches. You're her best hope. I stared at that screen until my vision blurred. I didn't respond. I put the phone down, poured a glass of wine, and tried to breathe. Later that night, I called my parents privately. I didn't want to do this over text. I wanted to be respectful. I told them as gently as I could that I would not be getting tested. I said, Mom, Dad, I sympathize with Vanessa's situation, truly, but I am not willing to donate my kidney. You would have thought I told them I was joining a cult. My mom went hysterical. I mean, 0 to 100 in a split second. She started screaming into the receiver, calling me a monster, cold hearted, saying I was essentially signing my sister's death warrant. My dad, who is usually the calm one, the mediator, got on the line and said he was profoundly disappointed and that family does anything for each other. They demanded to know why. They wanted a justification, so I gave them one. I tried to be logical. I talked about the medical risks. While generally safe, kidney donation is major surgery. We're talking chronic pain, hypertension, potential future complications. I am a healthy woman, and the idea of voluntarily undergoing a procedure that could compromise my long term health terrifies me. But then I got to the real reason. I flat out told them I don't love her like that. I said, I don't love Vanessa in the way that would make me sacrifice an organ for her. Given our history, I feel no deep, selfless bond. I feel like she's a relative I know, not someone I'd give a part of my body to. And then there's my own future. My husband and I are trying to start a family. We've been trying for months. The thought of going through a pregnancy with one kidney or having a health issue later in life exacerbated by having only one kidney fills me with anxiety. My future and the future of my potential children feels more immediate and important to me than mending a relationship that was never there to begin with. If you are already shook by the audacity of my family expecting me to slice myself open for a bully, hit that like button because I haven't even gotten to the worst part yet. The news spread through the family like wildfire. I am now being bombarded with messages from people I haven't spoken to in years. Cousins, aunts, random family friends. Some call me a jerk, others call me a selfish B word. My cousin, the one who volunteered, sent me a paragraph saying, I'm making this about me when it's about Vanessa's life. Even the neighbors are looking at me sideways. It feels like a witch hunt. The only person who hasn't said a word? Vanessa. I don't know if she's too sick, too proud, or if she just expected this from me. A part of me is racked with guilt. I can't lie about that. A woman's life is on the line, my sister's life, and I'm refusing to even take the test to see if I can help. I'm being told that my reasons are just excuses and that my grudges are petty compared to the gravity of death. I'm watching my family fall apart, and I'm being painted as the villain for sticking to my decision to keep my own body intact. So, I have to ask, am I the jerk? Before I drop the update, let's look at what people are saying because I needed a reality check. The top comment really stuck with me. They said, if you're planning to have children, donating your kidney isn't something I'd personally recommend. It puts you at a much higher risk for complications. While I sympathize with your sister, your family is wrong for calling you names and making you the enemy here. Another person, someone who has been on dialysis for 15 years, said something that chilled me to the bone. I refused to let my siblings get tested as I believed they deserved a family and felt the risks to them were too high. You need to be sure and firm in your decision, as well as be prepared to lose some people from your life. Hearing that from someone actually suffering from the disease validated me, but it didn't stop the guilt. Make sure you're subscribed, because the update I'm about to drop is going to make you scream at your screen. Update 1, 2 days later. I've been sitting with everything that's happened over the past few days, and I can't stop thinking about it. After my last conversation with my parents, the one where my mom called me a monster, I thought I was done. I told myself I had nothing to feel guilty about. I blocked a few ants, I tried to move on, but that night I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I wasn't seeing Vanessa, the bully who stole my money. I kept picturing Vanessa in a hospital bed, hooked up to machines, gray skin, sunken eyes, just waiting. Not as my manipulative sister, but as a scared woman facing something that could kill her. I kept thinking, what if I don't even try to find out? What if I could help? And I just never knew because I refused to take one blood test. So 2 days ago, I did something crazy. I called the hospital handling her transplant program. I asked what it would actually take to get tested as a potential donor. The coordinator was surprisingly kind. She didn't pressure me. She explained it would just be a blood test and some preliminary health checks to determine compatibility. She emphasized that it was no commitment, no strings attached. Yesterday morning, without telling a soul, I went in. My hands were shaking the entire time I filled out the forms. I felt like I was betraying myself, but also betraying my parents by doing it in secret. It was a mess of emotions. The nurse must have noticed my trembling because she said softly, "You're brave for even showing up." I wanted to scream at her. I wanted to correct her. I didn't feel brave. I felt terrified, conflicted, and ashamed that it took this much bullying, internal and external, to get me here. The blood draw was quick. I watched the vial fill up with dark red blood and felt nothing. I expected to feel instant clarity afterward, maybe a wash of relief, but instead I felt hollow. Like I just crossed a line I couldn't uncross. When I got home, I didn't tell anyone, not my parents, not even my husband at first. I just sat in the car in the driveway for a long time, staring at the little round bandage on the crook of my elbow. Finally, I went inside and told my husband what I'd done. He was quiet for a minute, just looking at me with this intense, sad expression. Then he said, "As long as you're doing it for you, not because they bullied you, I support you." He's right, but I don't even know why I did it exactly. Maybe part of me just wanted peace. Maybe I needed to know, objectively, that I didn't let resentment make the final life or death decision for me. The results will take a few days. I'm not sure what I'm hoping for. If I'm not a match, at least I'll know I tried, and I can wave that piece of paper in my family's face and say, "I told you so." But if I am a match, God help me. If I am a match, then I guess I'll have to decide what kind of sister I really want to be. And honestly, I still don't think I can give it to her. Story 2. The sister-in-law smackdown. Okay, take a deep breath. We need a palate cleanser after that medical trauma. This next story is about pure, unadulterated pettiness, and I am here for it. This is about a degree, a dinner party, and a clapback heard round the world. So, here's the setup. Last night, my husband, let's call him Dave, our 2-year-old daughter, and I were at my in-laws' house for dinner. My sister-in-law, Becky, was there with her husband and kids. Now you need to know the vibe. Becky is one of those people who smiles with her mouth but judges you with her eyes. She's a stay-at-home mom, which is great, but she has this air of superiority about, well, everything. We were all sitting around the table, passing the potatoes, when the topic of education came up. One of their cousin's kids is heading off to university, so naturally we started talking about how going to a good university helps with networking. I chimed in, just making conversation, and mentioned, "Oh, absolutely. I actually got my first business analyst job because my interviewer had also gone to the University of Toronto. It was an instant connection. I'm proud of my degree. I worked hard for it." At this point, Becky puts down her fork, looks at me with this smirk, and chimes in with, "U of T Mississauga, right? So, not the actual one. Excuse me?" The table went quiet. My husband, bless him, tried to smooth it over. He said politely, "It's the same university, Becky, same degree." Becky just shrugged, took a sip of her wine, and said, "If you say so." Oh, the rage that flared in my chest. It wasn't just the comment, it was the dismissal. It was the implication that my hard work was somehow less than because of a campus location. So I turned to her. I smiled my sweetest, most venomous smile and asked, "So, where did you go, Becky?" She sat up straighter. "I went to U of T St. George campus." She emphasized St. George like she was royalty, the main campus, the real one. I nodded slowly. Then I looked her dead in the eye and asked, "And how are you using that degree?" I knew exactly what I was doing. I knew she's been a stay-at-home mom for 6 years. I knew she hasn't worked a day in her field since graduation. The silence was deafening. You could hear the refrigerator humming in the next room. I added, "I knew she's a stay-at-home mom, so that's why I'm asking. Just curious about the ROI on the real campus." Okay, that last part was in my head, but the first question hung in the air like a bad smell. Becky turned bright red. She stammered, I I chose to be a stay-at-home mom." Then she shut her mouth and basically stopped talking to me for the rest of the night. On the car ride home, my husband let me have it. He thinks I was way out of line. He said her question was tactless, sure, but not malicious. He thinks I went for the jugular. I argued that she was being rude and elitist, and don't dish it out if you can't take it. But since then, she has been texting him nonstop about how hurt she is. He's telling her it was a misunderstanding, but he's telling me to apologize to keep the peace. Update: the apology tour. I was heartened by all the comments online saying I wasn't the jerk. You guys get it. Don't throw stones if you live in a glass house. But as I read more comments, I started to feel a little icky. People were dragging Becky hard, calling her useless, mocking her life choices, and honestly, that made me uneasy. Becky can be snobby, but she's not a villain. She's a good mom. So I decided to be the bigger person, not because she deserved it, but because I didn't want this to become World War III in the family group chat. I asked my husband if she was still messaging him. He said she sent one final wall of text about how hurt she was and then went radio silent. I asked him, "What do you really think?" He sighed and said, "Look, her remark was thoughtless, but your reply? That was a surgical strike. It cut her deep because maybe she's insecure about not working." That hit me. So last night I got a call from her. To my surprise, she started first. She said, "I realized my comment about your campus came across as insulting. That wasn't my intention. I'm actually really proud of your career and how you juggle it with motherhood. I'm sorry." I was floored. This woman never apologizes. So I swallowed my pride. I thanked her and said, "You know what, Becky? My comment about your degree was out of line. You're an awesome mother, and my remark had zero thought behind it. I was just reacting in the moment because I felt defensive." And then she started crying, like really crying, and that made me tear up. We ended up having a 20-minute conversation about how hard it is to feel judged. Her for staying home, me for working. We agreed to put it behind us. Do I think she's suddenly going to stop being passive aggressive? Probably not, but at least Thanksgiving won't be awkward. Story 3: The Fugitive Roommate. Okay, grab your popcorn because this last one is straight out of an episode of Cops. We are talking police at the door, secret probations, and a roommate who went off the deep end. So I'm a 28-year-old female. A few months ago, I had a roommate. Let's call her Chloe. She needed a place for a month or two, just a stepping stone. It wasn't a long-term thing. Now, important detail. We were both on probation. Nothing violent, just stupid mistakes, but we both had probation officers, court dates, the whole 9 yards. We were dealing with it. It was fine. Chloe moved out in October after she got her own place. I thought that was the end of it. Fast forward to today. I'm in my kitchen, cooking lunch, singing along to the radio. Suddenly, bam, 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 a heavy, aggressive knock at the door. My heart stopped. You know that knock, that is not the Amazon delivery guy. I looked out the window. It's a cop, a uniformed officer. I went through all the safety protocols. I cracked the door, asked for ID, badge number, the works. Being a woman home alone, you can't be too careful. Once I confirmed he was legit, I stepped outside and asked, "What's going on?" He looks at me and asks, "Is Chloe last name here?" I explained she moved out weeks ago. He checked his clipboard and asked if the address he had was her new spot. I confirmed it. I wasn't trying to hide anything. Then he asks, "Is 5555-0999 her number?" I said, "Yeah, that's her." He holds out his hand and says, "Call her." Now my brain is racing. I'm on probation too. If I refuse a direct request from a cop, does that violate my terms? Am I obstructing justice? Panic took over. I dialed Chloe's number. She picks up on the second ring. "Hey girl, what's up?" The cop makes a gimme motion for my phone. No way was I handing my unlocked phone to a police officer. I put it on speaker and held it out. The cop leans in and says, "Chloe, this is Officer Miller." Click. She hung up immediately. 2 seconds later, my phone vibrates, a text from Chloe, and it is nasty. "How dare you betray me? Why didn't you just lie? You should have said I was out of state, or said I was in the shower. Literally anything to avoid me talking to them." I texted back, trying to be rational. "Chloe, I am not lying to the cops for you. If I say you're in the shower, he's going to sit on my porch until you come out. If I say you're out of state, that's a violation of your probation, and they'll put out a warrant for your arrest. I'm not going to jail for you." She snapped back, "Did they threaten to throw you in jail if you didn't call me? You're a lying a-hole. I don't want to talk to you anymore. And anything I have left at your apartment, I'll figure out how to get it because I can't trust you." All she left here was a half-finished diamond art painting and a library book. My friend thinks I did the right thing, but my friend's wife says I should have just not answered the door. But here's the kicker. I live in a ground floor apartment with huge windows. The cop could see me standing in the kitchen cooking pasta. If I had ignored the door, it would have looked incredibly suspicious. Update: the block. So, things have escalated. It turns out the cops went to Chloe's new apartment yesterday, and she refused to open the door. She told me, before she blocked me, that she wasn't going to answer because I didn't want them to kill me. When I told her the cop at my door just had a packet of papers in his hand, probably just legal documents or a court summons, she replied, "Well, they won't meet me in public, and I ain't letting them talk to me at my place. I'll leave the state if I have to." I told her, "Chloe, that is a horrible idea. Fleeing the state? You will get a warrant, and I could get in trouble because now I know you're planning to run." She read the message, then the little delivered status turned to read, then blocked. She has cut off all contact, and now I'm sitting here staring at her diamond art painting, wondering if the cops are going to come back to my door asking where she went. I feel like I did the only thing I could do. You don't lie to cops when you're on probation, period. She wanted me to risk my freedom because she's too scared to face the consequences of whatever she did. But still, being called a snitch by someone who used to be a friend, it stings. So, tell me in the comments, would you have lied to the police to protect a friend, even if it meant risking your own freedom? Or did I do the right thing by handing over the phone? Let me know, and I'll see you in the next video for more drama that makes your family look normal. Bye.